I know you've been hearing it or saying it as much as I have, that America's done. The system's broken, we've lost our edge, our allies, and hell, we've probably lost our place in the world. But let's take a look for a second. We just got a trade deal done with China. Yeah, the same China that was supposed to replace us. We got a deal done with the UK too, who could have went to the European Union but chose not to. India and Pakistan, we brokered a ceasefire. And now Russia, they're trying to crawl to the negotiation table before they get shut out of the new global order. Tell me again how America's collapsing? But first, this episode's powered by Dubby. You already know, most energy drinks are full of sugar, crash, and weird ingredients. Dubby is clean energy, no sugar, no crash, no bullshit. I use it every time I film and write. It helps me stay sharp. Hit the link in the description and use the code to get your 10% off. If you're done with the bullshit and ready for straight talk, subscribe to America's Geopolitics. Now let's break it down. Let's talk about the narrative first. Because for years, we've been told America's too messy, too divided, too out of touch to lead anymore. They told us the world was moving on, that the 21st century belonged to China, that the EU was the future of diplomacy, that Trump was an international embarrassment, and we should just accept the decline because that's what us Americans do. But now, suddenly, China wants a deal, the UK always wanted in, Russia's rattled, and India and Pakistan, two countries that hate each other, just backed off a war because of what? US pressure. I don't think that's the weakness everybody's talking about. That sounds a little more like power. I think we just were laying low for a little bit, you might say. So what if this actually works? I mean, seriously, what if Trump's whole approach, the tariffs, the bilateral deals, the unapologetic tone, the tough stance on enemies and allies alike? What if it all works? Not just temporarily. I mean long-term, structural, strategic, world-changing. What if it works? What if in 18 months, we're looking at a reshaped global order with America right back in the center? Calling shots, cutting deals, getting respect. What does the mainstream media say? What happens to every pundit who's built their career on calling Trump a reckless idiot? Because that's the part nobody's ready for. They spent years warning us that this guy would ruin everything. But what happens when the data flips? Let's imagine it. Play it out. The economy starts to stabilize, not just because of interest rate games, but because real production comes back. Factories open, the middle class starts to feel the shift, inflation cools, not from a spreadsheet, but from actual reshoring. Meanwhile, China's still struggling under the weight of its own debt and demographic collapse, plus its government. Europe's going to be paralyzed for quite a while. And the rest of the world, suddenly it's realizing maybe betting against America was a bad idea. Now add this. Russia realizes it can't win in Ukraine and that Trump's U.S. might back the region harder than Biden ever did. So they start angling for peace before the next round of sanctions hit even harder. You think the people who've been pushing the America Last model are ready to admit that this worked? There's no fucking chance. They'll say it's temporary. They'll say it's dangerous. They'll try to pivot and act like they always supported it. Yeah, there's going to be a few of those. There always are. But deep down, they'll know the model they backed for decades is being replaced, as it should be. The Soviet Union has fell and the Cold War is over. We need to move on from a global order that doesn't serve our needs anymore. And let me tell you what they're really afraid of. They're not afraid of tariffs or gas or even populism. They're afraid that he might succeed. Because if Trump succeeds, that means they failed. That the Ivy League experts, the global think tanks, the media class, the permanent bureaucracy, all of them got it wrong. And worse, it means the American people were right to say, no more, we want something different. That scares them more than anything. Because this doesn't just rewrite the headlines. It rewrites the legacy. It rewrites the history. It shows that maybe just the old world order wasn't sacred. It was just comfortable, mostly for them. Look, this isn't about saying Trump's perfect. He's not. I'm definitely not a Trump guy. I don't like his manner. But name another politician, left, right, or center, who's actually shifted the global balance of power this much in real time. Deals with China and the UK, diplomatic leverage over South Asia, Russia under pressure, global supply chains starting to rewire. That's not noise. That's happening right now. And if it keeps going this way, then all those people who told us we were headed for collapse are going to have to make a choice. Double down on denial or admit America still got it. They're not going to admit America still got it. They literally can't, I don't think. So ask yourself again, what if this works? What if Trump's model isn't reckless, but reality finally catching up with rhetoric? Because if that's the case, we're not watching the end of America. We're watching the comeback. And that means everything's about to change. Subscribe to America's Geopolitics if you're ready to cut through the noise. Drop a comment. What happens if Trump actually pulls this off? And support the show by grabbing Dubby. Links in the description. No sugar, no crash, no bullshit, just clean energy for people who think for themselves. This is Frank for America's Geopolitics.